computer network in the world. And I really became fascinated with the idea of having a programmatic monetary policy, and one that can't be influenced or manipulated by anyone. And so as I kind of dug deeper into what Bitcoin was, how it worked, what the major differences were between it and other currencies in the world, it just became very obvious to me that not only one does it have a lot of the same sound money principles that gold has, there's also some digital components to it that make it attractive. And so I've really spent the last number of years trying to one, educate people, but also two, elaborate on a number of the macro issues at play that I think are starting to really kind of come to the forefront right now. And as you called it, I think gold and Bitcoin both are insurance to some degree. And so just doing my part, I guess, to help people see that.
Right, and this is the big part about it. The reason I endorse gold and silver and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is they're outside the system. It's outside the Fed and the Treasury. And the average person has no idea what I just said. They don't know what the Fed is or the Treasury. So going back to Brian, how does gold not get sucked into the sucking sound of printing trillions of dollars and destroying the U.S. dollar? How do gold and silver avoid that trap?
Well, it's gold and silver have been around since recorded and even pre-recorded time, 4,000, 5,000 years, whatever. It's been currency, it's been money. And it was money before paper money was invented. But the whole idea of money that is immutable and can't be inflated away goes back even when they were gold and silver standards, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, etc. And people tend to look back and say that we're different from those guys back then. We're really not. Human nature has never changed. And human nature is such that in governments will overspend, through wars or entitlements or just bread and circuses. They're going to overspend, and they're going to run up debts and deficits. And throughout human history, it's happened over and over again that governments have overspent and had to debase the currency. Back when gold and silver were the currencies, they would do things. They would use alloys, cheapen the actual gold and silver in the coins, which is the same these days as printing more paper currency. You're creating more currency out of the base.
So what Brian was talking about in 1964, I was like 15 years old, and I looked at my copper coin, my silver quarter and my silver $half, and they had a copper tinge to the thing. And at that moment, I kind of smelled a rat. And what was that era? What was happening? Why did our silver coin suddenly turn to a copper tinge?
Because the value of the silver exceeded the value of the coin. So when that happens, the government loses money with every coin it produces, and they can't make that up on volume. So that's what's happened throughout history, that the currency has been debased. They start printing more and more of the currency, and the value of gold and silver stays the same, and the value of the currency falls against it.
I could be inaccurate, but when I saw the word debased, did that mean they added base metals to it, like copper and nickel to silver?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the actual origin of the word, but that's what essentially happened. They added zinc and copper and nickel to the coins and took the silver completely out. And what's interesting is, if you look back in time, and when the Roman Empire crashed, the value of the silver denarius, which was a Roman coin at the time, over about 50 years, it lost about 80% of its value. Right. Looking back to that date in 1964, the purchasing power of the dollar has lost about 80% of its value, actually 87% of its value, according to the government itself.
Thank you. So Anthony, what are your thoughts around Bitcoin staying outside the Fed and the Treasury? Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I think there's two key components to Bitcoin, especially for a conversation like this. The first is it's decentralized. And what that basically means is there's nobody who is the known creator. It was created by a pseudonymous person. And then also, there's no way to shut it down. What I mean by shut it down is if you think of networks around the world or computer services, digital services, usually what ends up happening is that the government in any country doesn't like it. They go to the headquarters of that company, or they go find the founder and they say, hey, you've got to shut this down, or we will jail you, fine you, etc. Well, with Bitcoin, the entire network is run through, in an overgeneralized manner, a bunch of computers around the world. So there are millions of computers in every geography in the world are all pointing at this network and they're supporting it. And so even if one country was to go shut down every single computer in their country, you would need global coordination to shut the whole thing down. We just don't think that will happen. And so when you get this decentralization, what it does is it leads to a very high level of resilience, right? It's very anti-fragile. And what that decentralization also does is it keeps you outside of the system, meaning that nobody can manipulate the monetary policy, nobody can influence it, nobody can change the preset artificial cap in terms of the number of supply, etc., which we believe is going to be really, really valuable over time. The other advantage that Bitcoin has is that it's very verifiable, right, in both its scarcity and its monetary policy. So if you think right now, an exercise I've been running the last couple of days is I ask people, what's the Fed's balance sheet? And it's literally changing so quickly that people almost always answer incorrectly. We were at $4 trillion 6 weeks ago. Now we're at over $6 trillion, and we're literally printing hundreds of billions of dollars a week. But people don't actually know how much is being printed and how large the balance sheet is, other than once a week they get an update or they can check periodically. With Bitcoin, what ends up happening is I can tell you to the absolute Bitcoin how many were created today, where they all are, and also I can explain to you what the circulating supply is and how many more will be created or introduced into the supply at what time periods in the future. So it's not only understanding kind of structurally how the monetary policy works, but also having foresight or insight into what the monetary policy is in the future, which then gives confidence to people to know, hey, I know what the monetary policy decisions are in the future, and they can't be manipulated or changed, and therefore I can go ahead and put my confidence in something that has that decentralized nature to it.
Yeah, that's the key word, is confidence. Ryan, how are gold and silver confidence to you? What's your point of view on that?
Well, again, you look at the track record. 4,000 years of protecting wealth through times, through the inevitable debasement and destruction of paper money that happens every time. It happens in every civilization throughout human history. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. What we're seeing in this last crisis, this COVID crisis, and this tremendous policy response, is that the value of the dollar is going to be depreciated away even more quickly than any of us expected. We talk about what's going to happen over the next 5 years. Well, it's all happened over essentially 5 days as far as monetary policy, and everything's going into fast forward. It's going into turbo, and this destruction of the dollar is going much more quickly than we thought it would, and that's what makes gold and silver and Bitcoin and these kinds of alternative currencies, alternative money rather, so important right now.
And so one thing, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I support gold, silver, Bitcoin, I support anything that's outside the system. Have you noticed I'm kind of a rebel in that way, but it took me going to Vietnam to kind of wake up, that we're being lied to by our own government. So we come back with Bitcoin. I want to talk to, the key thing here is that anybody who's in either gold, silver, or Bitcoin are basically rebels. We refuse to have a muzzle put on us and let alone like a dog on the street with social distance. I think that's really the key component there. The reason I like gold and silver, I don't trust the government. That's plain and simple it. So that's why once I understood it, as little as I do about Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's open source. It means the Fed cannot mess with it, nor can the Treasury, nor can a politician. That's kind of why I endorse both products. So we come back, I want to go into more the rebel aspect. And we're going to ask Ryan to talk about what a rebel Blanchard was and what he had to do to take on the whole government of the United States to make gold legal. And And so then, Anthony, you can see the fight that Laszlo Gossett had to get back to sanity when it comes to our money, because people wanted us just do as I'm told and accept what they give us, and save money. That's why lesson number 1 in Rich Dad Poor Dad is rich don't work for money. And I've always said savers are losers. Why would you save something they're printing? Makes no sense to me. We'll come back on more into kind of the rebel aspect of gold, silver, and Bitcoin. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. We broadcast from Old Town Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's either heaven or hell, and it's heaven, but there's nobody out. We're all social distancing. You can listen to the Rich Dad Radio program anytime, anywhere on iTunes, Android, and YouTube. And please leave a review when you listen. And all of our programs are archived at Rich Dad Radio. We archive them because repetition is how we learn. If you listen to this